Well, hello, hello, and hello. Welcome to the most unusual tarot reading on the internet. In fact, anywhere. I've done tarot for over 20 years, and I don't know that anybody has done tarot like I do tarot. And I do tarot the way I do, combining astrology, numerology, and tarot, because tarot does not predict anything from my experience. What it does do, however, is focus on the science of potential, your ability to manifest that kryptonite to, I'm going to say create our future, but that might be overstating it, but to certainly influence our future. Real important stuff, the ability to manifest. So because of that, I do my tarot reading with astrology and numerology. I've done astrology, numerology for over 50 years. As I said, tarot for 20. Numerology, astrology are the science of cycles. It gets much more complicated than that because, and especially with astrology, there are cycles within cycles within cycles within cycles within cycles. Well, you get the idea. I mean, it just gets to be tough. And in all the 50 years that I've been doing chart readings, the biggest obstacle is trying to make sense out of all it. Because it's like chop suey. I mean, you have so many parts and pieces that are moving. You got the ascended, you got the descended, nadir, midheaven, you got eclipses coming in, you got the moon moving, all the planets moving, some going retrograde. You have biquintiles, sextiles, the trines, you got all this kind of stuff, and there's more yet. And it's just overwhelming to try to get it to make sense. I mean, I listen to people today doing astrological readings, and it's bullshit. It's just a bunch of gobbledygook. And then you got these astrology people that are talking about these beams from outer space. Woo! We got the cosmic. Woo! Well, first of all, you can't do a damn thing about those cosmic whatever. They don't know for sure what these things do, so they're pulling stuff out of their ass. In essence, it's a game, it's a show. They're lying to you. What I do here is deal with the stuff that you can do, the stuff that you can handle, the stuff that you can do to prepare, because there's a lot of things coming out of left field. I mean, you don't know half of what we are subjected to. And I'm not talking about the government. I'm talking about just all the different kinds of frequencies and influences around us that we're not even aware of. So the idea of getting out in outer space, and we got this thing sending this stuff here, and this stuff going over here, and it's a magical... Get out of here. Get out of here. You come here, it's for real, honest reading. I am trying to inspire you to manifest. So I take these things and I do the astrology to give you something to picture the energy with. That's what manifesting's all about, making pictures in your own heads, not going to the artificial intelligence, not going to any kind of desktop, laptop, smartphone, nothing. It's coming out of your head. We're real good with this stuff when we're 5. When we're 25, we're terrible at it because we've been programmed out of our own connections. And whatever connections we do have to manifest, they generally are negative. I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't, and you get a bunch of don't, and you wonder what the hell's going on. Well, you manifested I don't, so you're not, so shut up. Here we're going to reverse it. We're going to flip it. Encourage you with positivity, and I bring in again the astrology primarily, although to a lesser extent numerology, to the tarot, because I want you to have something that you can picture in your mind, something to compare to. Okay? I mean, after all, the manifesting is the kryptonite, but you got to have something to work with, and that's where these things work together. The astrology and to a lesser extent the numerology kind of set up the room. Okay? What kind of room are you in? And there's a door in front of you, and in that door there's a key. The key is the tarot. That's what you open. You open that door to your future. But you use the room you're in to kind of picture where you're at to help you manifest. Okay? So let's get to it. Again, I always will combine the tarot, which is the science of potential, and astrology, numerology, the science of cycles, to create a picture for you, because that's what we have to do. And for this reading, we're talking about the idea of regenerating out of nothing. Just boom, out of nothing. Well, I got to tell you something, to be perfectly honest with you. That's pretty nifty stuff. So if that's the case, how do we do this? Well, we do this with tarot cards. Remember I said that this is a tarot reading even though I use astrology and that kind of thing. We got 3 positions here because 3 is a magic sacred number. Nikola Tesla thought so. Jesus taught about the Trinity, how important that was. There are a whole bunch of other number 3 examples all over the place. So it's 3 cards with a manifesting message on the left side. It'll break down each one of the cards. So let's get to it, shall we? The first one is the Hangman. Hangman says, I got to flip the script. I've been headed in a certain direction. You know, and for as independent as we think we are, and I think for myself, I do for myself, we simply mimic what we've learned. And we get comfortable with it. I don't care if you're 20. You get comfortable with a certain routine and you don't want to change that routine. Yeah, but you're young. You should be flexible. Yeah, but I'm used to it this way. Old people, the same thing. The Hangman says, flip the script. Turn your world upside down. See, remember, you want to regenerate out of nothing. This really is kind of a sort of a magic, and I don't want to get too woo-woo about it, but if you can change your script in your head, that's manifesting. And then you can change everything. Next card is the High Priestess. So how do you flip the script? Real simple. You lean on your intuition. Open your subconscious. Feel the facts. You know your gut is talking to you all the time. And most of the time, we have been trained to ignore our gut. And then, of course, we pay the price. We go, damn it, I should have. I knew. We don't trust ourselves. We don't respect ourselves. That's why you got to flip the script. Number 1, give yourself a break. Okay? Number 2, after you've done that, lean into your gut because it will open up a lot of doors. It'll open up a lot of ideas. It will set you free from many, if not most, of the things that hold each of us back. Third card, Knight of Swords. So you decided I can't do the same thing the same way and expect different results. That's the definition of insanity. So I got to completely overturn everything upside down. At that point, I have to open up my subconscious, open up my intuition. I have to learn to feel and let myself feel where I should be guided. Very difficult, very, very tough. But the minute that you get to that point, Knight of Swords, it's knowledge with action. Because having information but doing nothing isn't worth a damn. However, if you flip the script and in turning things over, things fall out, you begin to see things a different way, let your intuition take over, you're going to come up with some interesting ideas. Even if it's one idea, it can potentially change your future. Again, the Knight of Swords is knowledge, but with action. Really, really, really important. And that's where we're headed because the whole idea is regenerating. You are starting with virtually nothing. And at this point, you are looking to try to do better stuff, to dig stuff out, to move stuff around. So, what do? Let's go to the karmic deja vu page, astrologic page. Now, I said I would be using astrology because it was important. All right, so the tarot now all set and ready. Let's shift gears. Let's go to astrologic, the karmic deja vu. Let's take a look at the planetary stuff. We're going to go to the 1930s. 1930s were part of a much longer era. It probably started back with Pluto and Uranus together, probably early part of the 1800s. That's when we began to see corporate banking began to emerge. In fact, Meyer Rothschild said in 1803, "You can do what you want with the government, just give me control of the economy." And that's really when we began to see the banking cartel begin to flex its muscles. It spent the 1800s doing that. We see some evidence in terms of the Industrial Revolution, the Civil War in the United States, and some other issues. But I go to 1930 because Pluto and Uranus are again in an interesting aspect. It is building from back in the 1800s. It's Pluto square Uranus. And we also have Jupiter quincunx, or 150 degrees away from Saturn. And what do we have in the 1930s? Among other things, we had a depression. We had mass unemployment. We had absolute depression that not only affected the United States, but pounded the world as well. Again, it is the banking cartel flexing its muscles. They did this back in 1913 where they were finally able to determine to put together the Fed. They finally pulled that off, some shenanigans. We can maybe get into that some other time. But when they made that move, they also brought in the income tax. And in the 1930s, what do we see? One of the most feared men in America, Al Capone, get busted and sent to jail for income tax evasion. It was the central bankers sending a message to every single American. You think you can get away with fudging on your taxes? Look who we got. You're a piece of cake. On top of that, they also took away our gold in 1933. They said Americans couldn't hold gold. You had to hand it in under pain of punishment. I'm not sure that they got every single American to do it, but they got a whole bunch, and then they doubled the price on gold 2 years later. There was an attempted coup in 1933 on Franklin Delano Roosevelt, broken up, thankfully, by a two-time hero from World War I, Smedley Butler. And then in 1933, same year, we got the Havara Agreement. It was the Nazis and the Zionists getting together. They put together some sort of plan where about 50,000 Jews could leave Germany in 1933. My question is, what did the Jews give up to the Nazis to be able to pull this off? It's interesting. But you're seeing all this stuff. You're seeing the mass depression, the economic downturn, the pushing of the tax code, government taking gold, attempt on FDR, the Havara Agreement between the Nazis and the Zionists. All of this, I believe, is a setup for World War II. Because World War I was a failure. It didn't come off properly, so they went to the second time around, and it worked much better. For them, anyway. So that's about it, huh? Boys, some pretty heavy-duty stuff we're leaving you with. But time is up. That's as far as we're going to go for today. As it says here on the screen, all we get is time and choices. Please be wise with both. And while you're at it, like and subscribe. I work very hard because I take my commitment to you and your ability to manifest very seriously. And I bring up the astrology to create pictures. What I just ran down is what we're kind of seeing the effects of today. It's serious stuff. And if you're going to regenerate your life, your purpose, your spirit, you got to have some pictures that you can put together in your head. Like and subscribe if you like the approach. So between now and the next time you and I do tarot together, peace and blessings, huh?